Today's daily word is strength. And there's a reason I chose to share today's daily word with you. For those who don't know or are new to Unity, this is a publication that's over 100 years old. And it started as something like Daily Thought. Myrtle Fillmore and Charles, the co-founders of Unity, came up with words and ideas and scripture to inspire people. And people all over the world read this booklet. It's 2 months. It used to be monthly when I first came to Unity, and now 2 months at a time. So this is the November-December issue. And each day there's something very special that when you read it, you know it was written just for you. In fact, I heard that Denzel Washington keeps the Daily Word in his dressing room. And Oprah Winfrey has often talked about how the Daily Word inspired her. So today's word I share with you for Sunday, December 29th, the last Sunday of this year, is strength. And Lord knows we need strength after all that hustle and bustle from Christmas, don't we? Through spiritual connectedness, I find my strength. Knowing that I am a member of the human family and belong to a greater community of faith awakens my inner sense of spiritual strength and power. James Dillett Freeman, former director of the Silent Unity Prayer Ministry, once described redwood trees as the perfect metaphor for this shared spiritual strength. He wrote, "You know, you'll never see a redwood standing alone. It takes several of them to intertwine those shallow roots and remain standing. Redwoods are like us, I suppose. They find their strength in community." My spiritual roots are intertwined with all of humanity. I am strengthened by my shared interconnectedness in God. If there's one reason that we come to church on Sundays, it's that interconnectedness. There's something about the collective consciousness in a place like this where you leave feeling inspired, feeling uplifted. That's the meaning of church. Church is not a building. Church is the community. It's the congregation. And this is an amazing and powerful community. The scripture for this daily word today is the hearing ear and the seeing eye. The Lord has made them both. From Proverbs 20:12. So the word today is strength. I want you to remember that. In quietness and in confidence, scripture tells us, shall be your strength. We're going to have some quiet time where you can go within and contemplate, what is it during this year that brought me to where I am today that I no longer have need of to move forward into the new year? It could be a relationship. It could be a job. It could be a home. There may be finances or other things that you need to release, but the primary thing to release are those negative thoughts that are holding you back. So what is it that you need to let go of in order to move forward in your life? Only you know what that is. And I'm going to be instructing you to write that down. Each of you should have received some litmus paper in your bulletin. If you didn't, raise your hand. If you don't find it, or if it fell on the floor and you can't find it, raise your hand and one of the ushers will bring you the paper. Keep your hand high. And I'll be giving you instructions to write down on that paper something that you want to release in 2019 and not carry forward into 2020. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever been constipated. This is not something we usually talk about in church. I know it's kind of like, a taboo subject in church, but we're in Unity where diversity is praised and peace and harmony are the rewards. So if you have suffered from constipation, and I see a hand going up, are you saying you suffered constipation or are you waiting for a piece of paper? Okay. If you have suffered from constipation, or maybe you are today, the definition of constipation is holding on to what's that S word? Stuff. You see, I know where your mind was going. Holding on to old stuff, right? You get stuck. You feel mired down. You're uncomfortable when you're holding on to old stuff. And that's the same kind of discomfort we have when our mindsets are stuck in a belief system that no longer serves us. You get stuck. So to get unstuck, you have to first of all be aware of your stuckness. You got to be aware of it. And then once you're aware of it, you have to do something about it if you're uncomfortable. Now, some people like to stay stuck because it gives them something to talk about and talk about and talk about to everybody they meet, right? You know anybody like that? But most of us don't. But we don't necessarily know how to get unstuck. And one way is the burning bowl. It's a process of relieving your mind, doing something active with your hands as you relieve your mind of something that is holding you back. We all carry baggage, don't we? Who in here doesn't have baggage? Raise your hand. If you don't have baggage, you're in the wrong place. This is the baggage department. We all have it. It might not show on the outside, but we have baggage, right? And you know, when you go to the airport, if you've ever flown and your baggage is too heavy, you have to pay a price. Either you got to take some stuff out and leave it at the counter, or if someone's with you, have them take it back to the car. But you can't take heavy baggage. It has to only weigh 50 pounds. Right? So if your baggage is 51 pounds, you know, the sky cap or someone may give you some leniency, but you know, shoes weigh the most, so, and you know I don't want to take my shoes out of my bag. So you got to start taking some things out. It's the same way with life. You can't have too much baggage. If you're carrying around a lot of heavy things in your life, those things are keeping you from the things that you really want. So you have to learn to let go. Now, letting go sounds pretty simple, but it's not. Because we all have connections with our baggage. We get some kind of reward mentally for holding on to certain baggage. But when you know it's time to let go, this is a practice that you can do anytime, anywhere. Not just the last Sunday of the month, of the year. But the burning bowl is something I would encourage all of us to do occasionally when we're weighted down. Now, one of the things that I practice to release things that no longer serve me is decluttering. And I was reading this article that came to me on email about 4 ways to overcome the mistakes of the past and move forward into the future. And one of those was for the next 9 days to do 3 things every day. Give away something, throw away something, or simply remove something from your office or your home. And at the end of 9 days, 27 things will have been moved to where they need to go. They may need, maybe that's someone else's to have, so you may take it to a charity. Maybe it no longer has any value or use at all. You may want to toss it out. Maybe it's in the wrong position. Maybe there's still value, but it's just all in a corner, not organized, so you might need to put it in a different place. But 3 things every day will help you to declutter here. Because what's often holding us back is not the things, it's our thoughts about those things. It's the burdens that we carry. In the book of Matthew, Jesus instructs us as to how to live our lives, starting with the be attitudes, the attitudes of how to be. And in the Sermon on the Mount, he talks about his yoke is easy, his burden is light. What does he mean by that? My yoke is easy, my burden is light. Now, Jesus, the man, was human. Jesus, the Christ, was divine. And Jesus understood that he knew his humanness and his divinity. We are all the same. We're both human and divine. And in our humanness, we want to hold on to old stuff, old ideas, old thoughts, old things that don't serve us anymore because we are comfortable and we're afraid of being uncomfortable. What will happen if I don't have that anymore? What will happen if I move on and do something different? What Jesus meant by that when he said, "My yoke is easy, my burden is light," is that he had learned a way to release those things that no longer served him. During the time when he knew he was about to be crucified, he went to the garden alone. And all those temptations and all those things that the ego had been wanting to hold on to, the loves, the people that he wanted to be around, the memories, he knew he was going to have to let go of in order to fulfill his purpose. And he was having a hard time with that. That was his humanity. But when he said, "Your will, not mine, be done," that was his divinity. So when you write down on that litmus paper what it is that you want to release, know that it is a higher power at work in your life that will enable you to let go, even in the most difficult circumstances. Learning to let go requires strength. It is easier to hold on to something than it is to let go. It requires strength. But you have everything you need within you. You have all the power you need to overcome any obstacle. If you saw the movie Frozen, you know that's the theme song, "Let It Go." Let it go. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. Easier said than done. So we're going to get a little practice. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the silence, as Myrtle Fillmore demonstrated, the most powerful way to find what it is that you desire, your heart's desire. We want things, right? And we think this will make us happy because that's our ego's desire. But God knows our heart's desire. Sometimes we don't even know what we want. Have you ever stood in front of the refrigerator and you weren't really hungry and the door is open, you want something, but you just don't know what it is? Because that's not what you're hungry for. There's something else that you're hungry for, and it's that spiritual food. And we practice meditation so that we can find that spiritual nourishment that we're seeking. And so I invite you now just to get centered and get quiet and just be still. Listen to Spirit calling your name, whispering to you, let it go. Whatever it is that is holding on to you or that you're holding on to, let it go. It'll be all right. Because nature abhors a vacuum. Next week we will be prepared to fill that space with what is for your best and highest good, because you don't want to leave it empty. So the first thing we do after you light your litmus paper and you let the fire transform it, you let the fire purify your desires, you pick up an angel card, and on that card will be written a word or a phrase that is just for you. That's to fill the void that's left when you open yourself up and you release what no longer serves you. You got to put something in it, something positive. If not, something you don't want will fill the hole. So be prepared to fill that void with whatever that angel card speaks to you. That will be your focus. So I invite you now just to get centered as we move into meditation.